excited. I'm excited. We all should be excited as, well, it seems as if Brian Kelly's living up to his word and what he's doing in the LSU or in the LSU transfer portal. Well, I guess it kind of is right now, the LSU transfer portal, as the Tigers do stand at number one per 247 Sports in the portal rankings. But your head coach did come out and he said, hey, if you want some of these top premier guys that are in the portal, these really good guys that are in the portal, there are some specific things that we got to do as a community. There are a couple of things that we got to do as a fan base. There are things that I got to do as a coach. There are things that I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And, well, I guess some boosters thought it was pretty evident to get involved too. And then we do raffles like for a win bar with Bayou Traditions and BayouTraditionsCollective.com. And then Jack Pyburn commits and Barry and Brown commits. And, well, Jamari Butler commits. And then Monsieur Delane commits. Jakeem Jackson commits. And then Michael Van Buren commits. So you get all of these guys that are in the portal that are top 100 guys. I think, well, it's kind of ironic. I did give you a pretty big hint on Thursday. Why I give you the eyes. And then when you get Michael Van Buren, and I think Michael Van Buren's a stud, I'm just going to be real with you. I don't agree that he will take Nuss's job that I've seen from out there, but I mean, the kid's a good player. We saw him go up against Georgia and make some really good throws, and you now have a reliable backup quarterback, and I think it should tell you what probably the staff feels about Colin Hurley at the current moment. You don't go get a kid from the same class if you think that, well, unless you're just going to pit them up against one another and just say, hey, both of you go after it. But you don't go getting quarterback if you think that Colin Hurley is going to wind up being your guy. So we'll talk about some of the guys and the players that LSU did get out of the portal the last couple of days. We'll talk about Barry and Brown, Jack Pyburn, Michael Van Buren, Jamari Butler, Mason. I keep calling him Mason. Mansour Delane, and then Jakeem Jackson as well. And then who are some other guys that LSU is targeting? I know a lot of you are probably waiting for one big, massive boom that should and could and may be happening very soon. So we'll get to all that. Carter Bryant joins us at 7:30 like he does on every Monday, or 7:35, I should say. But 7:35, Carter Bryant will join us, and we'll talk to him. And what does he think? What has he seen? What does he believe about the portal additions and maybe some other things that LSU still needs out there as well. But we got a couple of comments in here. Notre Dame 2164 sends 4 and crapping with laughter emojis. Says, you guys are so desperate. Well, it's funny. You went and got a guy out of the portal today. Are you desperate? And when you don't really play anybody, you also seem desperate as well. Rob Boudreaux says, fresh cut. You know it, man. Fresh as Bel Air. Fresh as Bel Air. You better believe it. You better believe it. From the Gulf of Mexico, says Ryan. So, yeah, where is everybody listening to from tonight? The 985, the 225, the 504, the 318-31 great, the 337, which, got to admit something, that my alma mater in Franklinton did go down in the Dome this week to Cecilia. But great game by both teams. Carr, got to see a lot of LSU commits. Rich Anderson, my goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Tyrone Francis, great weekend for high school football. But yes, indeed. D. Granger says, stop hating on the Irish. They didn't what LSU couldn't do this year. Stop hating. Well, first off, I think that you need to know English and learn how to spell. I guess they don't do that in Indiana that well. But how am I hating? Where have I come in here and hated on the Irish? Not wherever I don't talk about the Irish. What you little Rudy Poos and losers do is you come in here and you care more about LSU and Brian Kelly than your own damn team. And when you do face a team, when you actually face a ranked team this year, a consistent ranked team this year, you're going to get your shit beat in. You're going to get your shit pushed in. That's just the outright truth. Stephen Young says, Jay Johnson with another tiger emoji. Abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Rick is in Tennessee. The 615 Nash Vegas in the building. Brandon, the 770. Winder, Georgia, is in the house. Good to have you in here with us. The 337 showing large. 3 of them in a row here 337 showing out. That is for damn sure. Tyler Mann says Van Buren should light a fire under the ass of Nuss. Nuss can't get too comfortable now. No, he can't. No, he cannot. And if he does, then, you got somebody there to push you. Chad says, Blake, I'm loving the portal updates. You are kicking everyone's ass and getting out breaking news. Well, thanks. I will tell you, it's a very busy time of year. That is for damn sure. And keeping up with it. I feel like at the end of the portal haul here that there's going to be a situation where you remember that clip in Forrest Gump when he's done running, he goes, I think I'm tired. I think I'll go home now. That feels like me after every portal run. And I hated it that we did it during the spring, right? Like the spring was a big deal for football, and we were talking about it a lot. And I'm like, man, normally you get this during the football season. Normally the spring's where we can chill out a little bit, but no, not at all. Not at all. All right, let's get to it. We do have another super chat. Ryan. All right. I know Ryan's not doing this, but I'm just going to throw this out there. Two things. Don't send in super chats to this show for the collective. BayouTraditionsCollective.com. This is our ad read for them for the night. BayouTraditionsCollective.com. Now, in this handy dandy notebook, I have multiple pages. Let me see if I can find it here. We have in our handy dandy notebook that we will be putting in a Ziploc either Tuesday or Wednesday. Couple of pages of things that we have marked down here of people that have given $100 to the collective and their chances in a raffle to win the win bar. That being said, Ryan gives $2 to us. BuyTraditionsCollective.com. There's his contribution. Yes, they're going to need it. And Brian Kelly sent out a link that you can do monthly. You don't have to even think about it. What can you be comfortable in living with? Go over there and do it. You send in $100. You show it to us. We will put your name in for the $100 giveaway. If you do it more than, if you do it 200, we'll put your name in the raffle twice. So every 100 you get, we'll put your name in there. That is for damn sure. All right, let's get moving here. Got lots to talk about. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook and to all the social media pages, you're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let me get to a quick break. We come back. We break down all of this portal news. It's going to be fun, man. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
All right. By the way, quick programming note. I know that I put myself out here on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, all that stuff. There is one ask that I give to you. Don't send my personal immediate family friend request. It's weird. Unless you know them. It's weird. Don't do it. It's very weird. Don't do it. I'm not a big shot guy. Just come out here, talk LSU sports, talk national college football. That's it. Leave them alone. Okay? Thanks. It's weird, dude. Super duper weird. Okay. So LSU has started off this portal season and portal window very much on a hot streak per 247 Sports. At the current moment, as we're talking about this, they are the number one team in the transfer portal, followed by the Ole Miss Rebels. Let's break down some of these portal additions, what they mean, impact guys or non-impact guys or depth guys. There's really not any depth guys here other than Michael Van Buren for a big deal or big thing that we want to talk about here. But let's break down the guys and the players that LSU has landed in the transfer portal. Let's start off with Barian Brown, the Kentucky wide receiver. Listen, man, I think that Barian Brown, the last time that he had a quarterback that could throw the ball around like Garrett Nussmeier, he came onto the scene as a freshman and showed up and showed out. His true freshman year, he had the most catches, the most yards, and tied for the amount of touchdowns with 4. And then he was a kick return specialist as a freshman. A guy named Will Levis that was there, and a guy that could actually spin it around a little bit and get him the football. Every single year as the quarterback position got worse, they go to Levy, they go to Vandergriff, coordinator play calling got worse. His production as far as catches went down. Yards and touchdowns didn't go down that much, though. Every time they found ways to get Barian Brown the football, he continued to make plays. There's one thing that it shows me in going after Barian Brown that you're doing here that's very obvious. Guys, you got a lot of speed at receiver right now in what you're trying to accomplish. I look at you having Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson, Xavion Thomas, Barian Brown, Jelani Watkins. That's 5 guys that can take the top off of any defense when you're out there. Xavier Thomas, more of a gadget guy, and I get that, but does have some serious speed. But I throw him into that room. So you go and get Barian Brown. You go and you retain, arguably right now, as you never know what happens in the portal, you retain a Chris Hilton. You bring in an Aaron Anderson who shows you that he can take a slant route and take it 75 yards against Texas A&M. Speed galore. Speed galore. And last year, what's interesting is when you look at your 2 top receivers and guys that you wanted to get the football to. Now, Aaron Anderson was technically your number 1 guy, if we're just going to call a spade, but the guy that was on the boundaries, the guys that were out wide, where I do still think you need receiver in size, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But I look at Kyron Lacey. I look at C.J. Daniels. They're not the speedsters. They're not the guys that you want to put out wide and just say, hey, man, we're going to get it. We're going to throw him the ball deep. We're going to get him in on some dig routes. We're going to get him in on some fade routes. We're going to get him in on some sluggos. We're going to get him in on some comebacks. Those are the things that you want to do with a guy like Barian Brown, who, by the way, can take a jet sweep 75 yards in the SEC against a Georgia team, even though it gets called back. We've seen that from him. Guys, he is ultra electric. The kid can put him up and put him down. Speed is unmatched. 5 kick return touchdowns has broken an SEC record. You do not break a kick return SEC record if you cannot, number 1, run away from people, and you're not very good in decision-making on how to set things up and break off long, explosive plays. I'm telling you right now, this kid, this young man, Barian Brown, has the potential. We've seen him do this at Kentucky sparingly when they've used him. You can see if he gets more of a chance to be a playmaker, the sky is the limit for a guy like Barian Brown. The question becomes is how does he react to being a main guy? Can he be a main guy? You listen to guys like Mel Kiper. You listen to guys like McShay. You listen to these NFL guys. They look at a guy like Barian Brown and say, hey, man, high ceiling, but we got to see him in an offense that can throw it around a little bit. Well, he's coming to a place in the offense that wants to and can throw it around a little bit with Garrett Nussmeier. It's what they want to do. So we will see. Again, I just go back to the best productive year that he had with Will Levis, and I just say to myself, like, hey, man, if you're not throwing the ball and the best guy that can get him the ball, that's his most productive year. It tells me a lot. By the way, he was a true freshman. He's learned a lot along the way there. So Barian Brown, the wide receiver out of Kentucky, technically, I guess the second one that you got as well. So, yeah, and we do got to bring in Bauer Sharp in here. I did forget about Bauer Sharp. Bauer Sharp going down on Friday just makes you forget that you forget about him. Let's go. Let's move along here. Let's stay in the offensive side of things. Let's go to quarterback and Michael Van Buren. Guys, I think Michael Van Buren, the quarterback out of Mississippi State, made a lot of bad situations turn into good situations on a really bad football team. When we looked up at Mississippi State in the middle of the year after they got beat by a G5 opponent, and we're like, damn, Mississippi State's really bad. Blake Shapen goes down. Michael Van Buren, as a true freshman, comes in. And, guys, he doesn't have the weapons. He doesn't have guys around him. His offensive line is beat up, and they're not that good. He doesn't have a consistent running game. He does not have the weapons or the talent around him that can help him propel him to be in a good situation. It's why he left. I saw a lot of reasons as to why he left, and I'll put every source on the line that I have that the reason that he got at Mississippi State was, well, number one, that they thought that they were going to get Jackson Arnold, and Mississippi State vastly whiffed on that. He went to Auburn, and the crazy thing about that is Auburn took 2 quarterbacks from the transfer portal, which is very, very interesting here, but they whiffed. They wanted to go after somebody a little bit more experienced. They whiffed. They probably should have stayed with him. Now, there are things that Michael Van Buren has got to work on, but I'm going to throw this your way. Garrett Nussmeier, in the first 3 years at LSU, had 11 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And I saw all of your comments when the news broke, this kid's turnover prone. Well, first off, I don't think that we need to be talking about any kid being turnover prone. That's for one. But number two, Garrett Nussmeier and Michael Van Buren share the same thing. When they were thrown into action early and around the same amount of passing attempts, they had the same issues. The only difference is Van Buren is going to be a sophomore, and there's a strong chance that you can redshirt him and plan for him in the future. Like if you're going up against Southeastern next year and you're blowing the doors off of them, maybe you can get Van Buren in the game. But maybe there's a situation where you're like, hey, man, you know what? We're going to throw in A.J. Swan. Listen, Mike, we don't want to really use one of the games. We want you to redshirt that way that you have the ability. Sounds good, Coach. Sounds good. You can grow with him and you can develop him. And I will just tell you that your head coach had a lot of say-so about this one. A lot of say-so. You don't bring the quarterback situation is always going to be ran through a head coach. So we can talk about coordinators. We can talk about personnel staff. Bullshit. The head coach is making the decision on who is going to be the guy that's the signal caller. One thing that you cannot take away from BK, he's going to massively be involved about what's happening on a quarterback. He's massively going to be hands-on at things that he's doing in reference to where the things are going from the quarterback position. Michael Van Buren showed, and it's kind of embarrassing for some of you that were in the comments saying this. Don't stat watch this kid. Don't go look at his stats and say, oh, man. No, he scored 16 touchdowns. The kid can run the ball. He's highly athletic, and he will throw the football. I can tell you when you just go look at him, and I will put a picture side by side of Bryce Young and him. I'm not saying this kid's Bryce Young. Throwing motion, very similar. Stature, he's a little bit bigger, but the kid can pick him up and put him down. He's not scared to throw the football. And you turn on the Georgia film, all I needed to see. It's literally all I needed to see. So Michael Van Buren is the second offensive player here that LSU gets. And what I think is a big one, you mold this kid to be who you want him to be, and he can, and he can move. So it's going to be interesting. All right, so the first one that LSU got, let's move to tight end Bauer Sharp, a guy that I've seen play at the FCS level, and then we saw it play at Oklahoma. I don't know what to make of Bauer Sharp at the SEC level right now, because I do think that there comes a time and place where I look at Bauer Sharp in the situation that he was in at Oklahoma and say, mulligan. Complete and utter mulligan. And I do think that that's what Bauer Sharp needs here. That's why he leaves a team, a place like Oklahoma. Offensively, they are very bad. Now, I do think Oklahoma is going to get better with Mateer probably coming in and the new offensive staff that they will bring in at Oklahoma. I know that there would be a concern in reference to him blocking on the end line, and I'm not here to debate that with you. The kid is really athletic at tight end. Very athletic at tight end. It also tells me, and it gives me the philosophy of what you want to do with a guy like Bauer Sharp. Your plan is to not be passive and use him on the end line of scrimmage. It also would tell me you're probably going after somebody else at tight end that can be more physical for you. The interesting thing about Bauer Sharp is when Brian Kelly was asked about him, he stated, and I quote, "We love his physicality." They broke the kid down more than I did, and maybe Carter did as well, so we'll talk about that with him. I look at him and say, I don't know how to judge him. I do think that he can be a really good weapon for you. I think he is a very good weapon for Garrett when he needs to be somebody needs to be an outlet. He's very reliable catching the football. He's got some speed. He can pick him up and put him down. The question now becomes for me is, if you're going to put him on the end line, who do you put at the end line? Because I don't think Trey Dez is good at it either. So there comes a part where I do think that you have receiving weapons at tight end. I think Trey Dez and Bauer Sharp both can be more than serviceable for you at receiving the football. The problem at the current moment that I have is there are always going to be moments in the SEC where you got to have a tight end that can be on the end line of scrimmage and block on 3rd and 1 for you to convert. I don't know about that with him. The reason I also don't know about that with him is Oklahoma's offensive line was the worst in the SEC this year when it comes to a pressure rate, when it comes to allowing sacks, when it comes to just not being able to run the football. They got somewhat better as the season went on, but not much better. Bauer Sharp was a product, and the production on the end line of scrimmage for him was a product of him not getting help from a tackle when he needs it, not being able to get to the second level because his tackle can't get over to the first guy. So many different things that look at Bauer Sharp and say, some of this has got to be a mulligan. But the production at the FCS level is there. I think that he can be a good receiving target for you. There is just a question mark there for me, and he's going to have to be your number 1 tight end going into spring, and he more than likely is going to be. I still think, and we'll talk about one of these guys in just a moment, I do think and feel you're going after another tight end. So whole different byproduct there, so we'll talk about that when that occurs. Let's move over to the defensive side of the ball, and let's start off with Jack Pyburn. Jack Pyburn is a very interesting case out of Florida to me because a lot of people, again, stat watch, and they look at him and say, man, he only had 1 sack. He wasn't productive getting to the quarterback, and you would be right. He wasn't productive getting after the quarterback, but Florida was. And I look at Pyburn's film, and I look at what he did against us, LSU, having the 6 big tackles that he did. I see and watch the film, and we shared some of it today, how versatile he can be. Guys, he can go out in coverage for you. He can be in the middle if he outright needs to be in the middle. Ron Roberts did a lot of exotic things with Jack Pyburn. Pyburn was really good at one thing this year for Florida. He was exceptional at destroying the QB run game. Exceptional. Flawless. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like, oh, man, A&M? No, Pyburn was stopping Marcel Reed a lot. Every time Marcel Reed did not make an explosive play, Jack Pyburn was a massive part of that. A massive part of that. I think of Arch Manning coming into the game against Texas and running the football, and Jack Pyburn just running him down and saying, no, not going to happen. It will not happen. Jack Pyburn is the guy that you look at and say, man, you love it. He might not be the high ceiling guy, but the outright effort, the outright physicality, the outright determination is sky freaking high with that young man. And it is. It 1,000% is. He is going to be one of your favorite players. I love the ad because I feel like in the running game, especially at edge in moments, and the years that Brian Kelly has been here, you have massively lacked physicality at the perimeter of your defensive line. Now, Braden Swinson did not do bad at it at all. I do think Braden Swinson made a lot of bad decisions in the running game and got out of angles and got out of situations that he shouldn't have been in. Jack Pyburn is not that. He will flat go downhill and run you over and lay his body on the line to make a stop. I highly suggest you to go and watch his film. It is, I think he's in the hundreds in the portal on where he's ranked. That's bullshit. Now, he's got to work at getting after the quarterback, because if he's going to be a three down guy, Kevin Peoples has got to work with him at getting after the quarterback. That's what Kevin Peoples does. You have a guy that is shown in the SEC that he can be absolutely exceptional against SEC teams in the run game. You saw him go up against the number one tackle in the country and give Will Campbell outright fits in the running game. It's not an opinion. It is a fact that we have film on him being up against Will and Will having just a hell of a time against Pyburn in the running game. Saw it with Emory Jones. And if he can do that, I will take him. Kevin Peoples' specialty is getting guys that can get after the quarterback. That might be what the next guy that we talk about does, but I like Jack Pyburn a hell of a lot. Let's go to the other guy that they got at edge that can actually, I do think, has a very high ceiling here too. Jamari Butler out of Nebraska had 65 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, and 7.5 sacks in his time at Nebraska. Was a very versatile DN outside backer combo. We saw him at Nebraska line up in the inside, 6'5", 265. He played on the inside, played on the outside. I feel like I'm singing that rap song, Cream on the inside. You know, guy was all over the place. You can line him up wherever you want. He's been productive wherever he's played. Wherever he's played. The 18 tackles for loss is a big deal for me in the 2 years that he really played. It's a big deal to me because sacks are tackles for loss too. So that means that majority of the times that he is getting a tackle for loss, he is penetrating in the backfield and he's getting to a ball carrier and getting a massive tackle for loss. Butler's ceiling, I think, as an athletic guy is very high. I do want to know if he can be more consistent rushing the passer. I do want to know if, even though the Big Ten is a very physical league, how does the speed game get up to him? He's shown that he's got some speed and some versatility. So you have two edges in Pyburn that is a really good defender and stopping the run, and Butler that 2/3 of the tackles for loss coming out of Nebraska and LSU are in the running game. LSU is telling you what they think that they need. I don't know where they think they're going to get the pass rush from. Does that come with bringing back a guy like a Harold Perkins? I don't know. I don't know. But you had massive struggles at edge and containing and not having good issues in situations at the edge. Happened to you a lot, and in the interior too. But you got playmakers there, man. And I like both of those additions, Jamari Butler and Jack Pyburn. Let's wrap it up with these last two guys. Jakeem Jackson, very quickly. I don't know what to make of him. And the reason I don't know what to make of him is I haven't really seen him play much. There's two schools of thought that comes to my mind when I think of Jakeem Jackson, the DB out of Florida. Number one, Corey Raymond recruited him. So, I mean, Corey has a really good track record of hitting on DBs. What can this young man grow into be? Now, the first 2 years have been very pedestrian. But if you're a coach, what sparks my mind here is you're in a place in a situation where Corey thinks he can play. And a lot of us trust Corey on his evaluation of talent. And if that's true, what is Corey seeing him? There's another school of thought, though, that I just want to throw out there. Guys that don't have production, when they tend to go in the portal, tend to not be the best. That is not a Blake Ruffino statement. That is just an outright fact for most of these young men. If they don't have a lot of production, they've been in the program 2 or 3 years, you got to start begging some question. Well, why isn't he seeing some time? Is there context needed to it? And Florida secondary needed DBs. They brought in Carmani McClain, but Carmani McClain was a walk-on. Now, I know Jackson was hurt, but I look at him and just say, it seems like the young man has a very high ceiling from an athlete and being a DB. Production does worry me, though, a little bit. We'll see. All right, last one here before we get to Carter. I'm going to bring up some guys that I think I know that LSU is going after. Last one being Mansour Delane from Virginia Tech. 146 tackles in his time in his 3 years at Virginia Tech. A lot for a corner and a safety. 8 tackles for loss, 6 interceptions, which 4 of them came this year. Whatever Delane wants to do, you do it. He started off at Virginia Tech as a safety, and I think that that's very interesting because he was a very much willing tackler at Virginia Tech at going in the box and making plays for you. If you need him at safety, if you outright need him at safety, he can play it. Guys, he's coming off a season as a boundary corner where he had 4 picks. Now, I shouldn't say 4 of them because the last pick that he got at Virginia Tech, they had an issue at safety. He was the one that swallowed his pride and said, you know what, man, whatever's best for the team. He went over to safety, didn't say anything about it, and then went out there and got another pick. Team player, whatever's best for the team with high-level talent. This kid can play. And, guys, I mean, you don't have that level of production, 16 PBUs, 6 interceptions, 4 coming from this year if you cannot play. And it's not as if that he did not go up against really good offenses. Let me explain. Guys, Miami was really good this year offensively, especially at receiver. All 3 of their receivers are going to get drafted, and Cam Ward is going to get drafted pretty high as well. Delane did not have a bad game at all. That's why Virginia Tech was really in that game. He will come down from the boundary and tackle. He's athletic enough to be in the blitz game if you put him in a slot. He has done it all. He's been at safety. He's been at nickel. And probably and arguably his best position, being on the boundary, is probably where he would prosper the most. The question now becomes is what do you do? Do you put him out on the boundary? Well, then what do you do with DJ Pickett? Do you move DJ Pickett to safety? I don't know. I love that you have options. I don't want Delane to play safety if he doesn't want to or need to. You know and have seen that he can play and that he can play at a high level even against some SEC teams. I still think that you need to go after a safety. And I know that you're going after one in the G5 ranks right now. We'll see how more tomorrow that one transpires. But I think it's a massive pickup for you defensively. The defensive guys that you've picked up have been really solid, in my humble opinion. All right. Before we get to Carter here, there are a couple of guys at LSU that you need to keep an eye on. Braylon Moore, the center at Virginia Tech, is a guy that's got a lot of experience and a lot of starts. I would keep my eyes on him. Sadir Mitchell, 6'6", 350 out of Texas. You know, I want to come in here and say, if you're on the message board, if you're on the forum, ayssnetwork.com/forum. Boy, you had this info last Wednesday. I keep my eyes on him. DT 6'6", 350. And then you start looking at the defensive line room and you're like, wait a minute. How many guys we got at DT? Ruh-roh. It's why you bring in Bo Davis. It's why you pay him what you pay him. Go look at the depth chart of guys you got coming in, and God forbid you get this Sadir Mitchell kid and what you could do here. All right, Bo. I'm really monitoring the D-line here. I'm going to say that. We're really monitoring it. And last but not least, before we get to Carter Bryant here, Nick Anderson, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Now, if you were on the forum last Thursday, you knew things started getting interesting with Nick Anderson. A lot of you felt good about Barian Brown, in which I told you he ain't going to be the only one that you're going after, and he wasn't. And I still don't think Barian Brown, I still don't think that even if you land Nick Anderson, that, quite honestly, that will be all. We shall see. But the bottom line here for me is this. Nick Anderson is a baller shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala. Kid's got serious talent, so we'll see. Let me get to a quick break. Carter Bryant joins us next. Stay with us. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Blake, I am so excited that Brian Kelly is a very introspective man who realized we got behind in the transfer portal. And you freaking kidding me? This guy's delivering on some players. Now, I heard you mention Jackson a minute ago, the corner. Obviously, a guy that got a lot of really good experience.
Jackson from Florida, just in case you're watching this clip on YouTube. Yes.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I keep forgetting you clip it separate and all that stuff. But I slightly wear a blue shirt because I am excited about these two Gator players, and I'm excited about Jack Pyburn. Blake, this is a interesting story. Now, so much was made about these leaked diva demands.
Not true.
A lot of it's not true, but if you knew a little bit more about like his role at Florida, you could understand why he was frustrated with his role. So, for instance, he played 30% of Florida snaps last year, about 33%.
And had 60 tackles.
Yeah, had a lot of production. And, you can go watch a film study. You tweeted it out, whatever. The film study on Power Hour LSU, I want you to give it your best guess, the snap counts that LSU's two starting defensive ends, the percentage of snaps Braden Swinson and
I would say 92.5.
Right. It was close. 75-ish percent. That's about where it was. It's still 90 is like an unreal high amount of numbers. But that's part of why he wanted to leave. He wanted to go with a fresh start. And what's interesting is he was a guy, Blake, when I was researching the film study, he grew up loving the Florida Gators, loved them. So it was his dream school. And he, sacrificed for the team as a freshman, burned his red shirt for special teams. So he's got one more year to prove it. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. And he's not had a full-time role yet. He's not. So in 3 years, not had a full-time role. And his run-stopping film is really good. And as a pass rusher, there's still a lot of room for growth, but they dropped him back into coverage a lot, Blake. So in his final game versus Florida State, he showed off some pretty good pass rushing chops. So the weird thing is, for a year 3 guy going into this final season, transfer season for LSU, we still have not seen him in a full-time role. So I'm really excited to see him. And I do think of the transfers, I could firmly say that his best football is ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, look, 30% of the snaps and 60 tackles is a big deal. The thing that I think that he does more for you than anything is his physicality.
Yeah.
Nobody is more fit. Look, I'm going to call it like I see it. Nobody on our defensive line or at edge has been as physical as that kid at the point of attack since Brian Kelly's been here. Maybe Ojulari. BJ was very physical, but
it's a good player.
This kid will go downhill and go full. I don't want to say water boy and go, hurr, but he will go full water boy and go hurr on you, and he will put his head down. Carter, I shared his film today too, just right when he committed. I don't care who it is. If it's a tight end, if it's a tackle, if it's a guard, dude is lighting people up and will go full on to stop the run. Here's another thing too. He is really good at stopping the quarterback run, which is a big deal. And I feel as if for Pyburn first and then getting to Jackson, but I think the dude can flat out play. Now, the sack production does worry me a little. You got 1 sack in 3 years. That worries me. Can Kevin Peoples be the one that ultimately is the one that's able to teach him? I think that that's going to be a big key here. In reference to Jackson, I would just throw this out here. I'm not I think that Corey sees a guy that can play and is a high-end, high-level guy. I just worry about not having any production. I don't know enough about the young man. I don't know about the kid. So we'll just have to see there. But if you thought that he was an answer at the boundary right now, and it could be him, Stamps, DJ Pickett, whoever, you don't go get Delane either.
No, you don't. I mean,
unless you want Delane to play safety, which is a whole different conversation. But again, in reference to Jackson, I think that you got to trust Corey and that he sees something in the kid. This is the second time he recruited him. So we'll see. Moving on to a couple of these guys. Since we were on defense and talked a lot of defense about Pyburn early, any thoughts on Jamari Butler from Nebraska? What did you think of him in that pickup?
Yeah, I watched him late last night, Blake. Also, kind of like Pyburn, this is going to be a new role for him. One thing LSU likes to do a lot of is do the race car cheetah package where, you have 4 defensive ends as rushers. So ironically, Butler was mostly a defensive end, but he rushed as a
in
3
the
tech.
inside a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Like I would say a good 80% of his pass rush reps came against offensive guards. So that is kind of fun.
Could you imagine if Perk does come back and you have Perk, him, Pyburn, and whoever, Relaford or whoever you want in there to get in the mix?
That'd be nasty. That'd be a lot of speed. And Butler had a lot of big reps, as a pass rushing 3 tech, as a twister, as a guy who can generate pressure. Just a very solid multiple year player. I really do think like Pyburn's on a different level than him, but this is a guy. I think Jack Pyburn's very good. I really do. And I think Butler will step in as a very solid player. But that was the most fascinating thing. I don't think I remember a defensive end who pass rushed out of a 3 tech as much as he did on the outside shoulder of the guard. It was a lot, and he's very effective at it. So I'm interested to see, him more reps as pass rushing off the edge as well. So a versatile guy who's played a lot of football, and I'm excited. Look, the Big 12 I've always liked the Big 12, and I liked what Nebraska did with Coach White over the past couple of seasons. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do.
Here's the thing with me with Butler, okay, that I want to emphasize. I'm with you on the pass rush stuff, and here's the thing that gets me. He doesn't look like he's 265, 270 pounds. He doesn't.
Interesting.
To me, he doesn't. I mean, his arm length is insane. Like, I'm talking to somebody last night, and I was like, what do you see in him? He goes, brother, the dude's like a go-go gadget, man. Dude's arms are very long, and he's got a long reach. Here's the thing that I think that when I look at Butler that's interesting to me. When you get a sack, which he had 7.5 of them, it also goes down as a tackle for loss. He had 18. And then 7.5 sacks. So almost 2/3 of every time that he's getting a tackle for loss means that he's making a disruptive play in the backfield in the running game. So even when he's lining up in the interior on 3rd down and they run the ball, he's good enough to stand his own for a play in the interior to stop a run. And not only that, use the speed to get into the backfield and make a play. And it's not like the Big Ten's not physical. The Big Ten's very physical. Like, let's just be real with one another right now. It's not like Michigan's not physical. They're very physical. Ohio State's physical. So I think that I look at this and say, at edge, I don't know if they're going to be able to rush the passer necessarily effectively, but they don't have a Braden Swinson at that yet from what they've brought into the portal. But, boy, they got guys that can stop the run, and they've shown that they can stop the run.
And I said Big 12 on accident. I meant to say Big 10. I
knew what you. I knew
yeah,
what you
did.
I knew what you.
But
for example, speaking of the Big 12, I mean, he single-handedly destroyed the Colorado game. He was a physical. Yeah. He's the one where Shedeur throws the pick, and it was almost a pick 6, and then Nebraska goes in from the 1-yard line and scores. Okay, he's the one generating that pressure. He gets another sack. By the way, he wore Uno in that game.
They wore Uno. Switched back to number 10.
Single digit.
Got to watch out for those guys, man.
If any D lineman is wearing a single digit, you better watch out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny in doing research on him last night. It's actually a really big deal in Nebraska. So, like, they actually do like a vote on who gets to wear them. I didn't know.
I didn't know that.
I maybe I misread that, but there was a thing. So he switched back to 10.
So his teammates like him a lot.
Yeah. So. It should be an interesting development.
It's going to be a very interesting development about him. So they bring him in as well. Let's get to Mansour Delane. Carter, this is a big pickup, man. I'm going to call it like I see it. It's a pretty big deal because the way that I see Mansour Delane, the Virginia Tech DB that committed today. It tells me 2 things. I know the teams that were after him, and those teams spend money. And you put your foot down. And they went in on this kid. The thing for me, though, on the field, When his team needed him the most to play safety, he went there. He didn't care about his draft status. He didn't care about all that. He went from boundary corner to safety and got a pick. Then this year at boundary corner, okay, against the number one passing team in the country, that was Syracuse, by the way. You can go look this up. Syracuse was the number one team in the country in passing yards. My man went off. I think that this is a massive addition for Corey Raymond. I think it's a massive pickup, and I'm glad that they got him.
Yeah, I think Pyburn's the best player I've watched. He is the most important. Okay. I do think Mansour is easily the most important.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and he obviously gives him some versatility, and he could play some safety. But these are the proven guys that you need to get in the secondary. One guy that I really wanted the LSU to go after this past season was Andrew Makuba, who's been a great safety for Texas, especially since
he's the best defender on their team. I don't care what anybody tells me.
Ooh, more than the guys 5 and 7 who are Thorpe guys. Thorpe finalists.
I thought you're talking about. I was talking about for Texas. He is the best defender on Texas right now.
That's what I'm saying. You
yeah.
Think
what 1,000%
over Barron and
go. I'm talking about on the team right now.
You think Andrew Makuba is the best safety on Texas?
I think he might be the best safety in the country.
Wow, he's good.
Yeah,
but that's why.
I mean, you want me to give you my defense? Georgia.
No,
Kirby Smart at the end of his press conference said he might be the best defender we played all year, and I agree with him.
No,
he was the one that knocked out not Stetson Bennett. What's the backup quarterback's name?
For who?
Gunnar Stockton. He was the one that made his eyes roll in the back of his head. That kid's a dude, bro. That's a dude right there. I'm sorry for interrupting the thing.
No. So I was very vocal about LSU not buying a DB in the portal, knowing what we had at secondary going into the season. And they went out there and got one of the better ones. I just started watching him today. I watched the Rutgers game early in that game, made a very huge play on a third down. Like he's good. I mean, and the thing is, like you said, Virginia Tech played some really good passing offenses this year. The Miami,
Louisville,
right?
Syracuse.
So the main point is he played a lot of great offenses.
Yes.
And LSU played great quarterbacks too, but ACC offenses this year were insane. So I'm really excited to watch him more. But it's huge because, like, I'm not going to say like you, but I do think it's big because I'm just not as high on Jackson at the transfer coming in from Florida. So I think it was very important to add as many DBs as you possibly can. I think Jackson could be maybe not this year, but the next year kind of guy. So I feel pretty confident that not only will he start, he will be a very solid player for LSU next year.
And look, man, you're having a go at it at safety. Now they brought in the kid from South Florida. We'll see what happens there on a visit. But look, man, even if you got to, like, even if you have to, like, look, man, I mean, you're a bad way at safety. I'm going to call it like I said. You're in a bad way at safety. And you're going to have to pray to sweet Jesus up above that this kid just says, I'm here to play ball. Like,
let's go.
The problem is DJ Pickett, do you move him to safety and say, hey, we'll move you to boundary corner later? I don't know their scenario. I haven't asked. I don't know. Pickett makes the more logical sense at the current moment because of his size and his speed, okay, to move there. Mansour might be your best cover corner. And here's a hot topic for you. From a talent standpoint, he is the most athletic boundary DB that you have had since 2019. Or let me back up because Stingley was here after that. When did Stingley leave? In 21?
Yeah, but your point still remains the same. Yeah.
My point remains the same on what I'm trying to say.
His last year was 2019.
His last year was his first year. Right. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
He is the most talented of all of them. And I hate using the saying, but I'm gonna spare it tonight because it's not an opinion, it's a fact. It's not close. It's not remotely close. I love Jared Bernard Converse. This kid is better than Jared Bernard Converse. He can cover. Like Xavier Restrepo is going to go in the first round, and he gave Xavier Restrepo everything and more that he could do it. Same with George and those guys. The kid Pena for Syracuse. Remember the name. Kid's a dog, and a flat-out dog. He put Pena in a blender. Did it? Kid was barking like a chihuahua after that game. Kid's good, man. The kid's really good.
I just also like the name. I love a good college football. I've never met a Mansoor.
Oh, you ain't met many Italians.
It's just such a great DB name. So
it is, man. I think the kid can play. Whatever he wants to do, I do it.
All right. So your thoughts on MVB?
All right, hold on. No,
we'll
get to MVB in just a moment.
I need the Ruffino heat.
I want to get to Barry and Brown before we get to him because I think we'll have a long discussion about MVB.
Yeah, go on.
Barry and Brown, the Kentucky wide receiver, gets in here. Your thoughts on Barry and Brown?
Yeah, he's very good, Blake. I mean, before the season, Shehan Jayaraja, who's a national college football reporter, said, who's the one player you're excited about the most that's not getting any attention? I said, Barry and Brown on Kentucky. He really stood out to me. True freshman producer with, I believe, Will Levis at quarterback. And then, obviously,
which is his most productive year, ironically.
Right. So now you're in this the Kentucky offense was the Kentucky offense over the past couple of seasons with Mark Stoops. So now he's going to get the most stable quarterback play he's had, and he's also going to get a room that really needs someone to open the top off of a defense, right? That's not really Aaron Anderson's game. You don't want him doing that anyway. You want him destroying people in the slot. So that's going to open up space for Aaron Anderson. It's going to open up space for Bauer Sharp and all the other underneath guys. And look, the single biggest catch of, I feel, the college football season, I understand there's 1,000 different SEC plays that knocked teams out of the playoff contention, but it didn't shock anyone.
More than his against Ole Miss.
It didn't shock anyone that Garrett Nussmeier and Kyron Lacey and Aaron Anderson made those big plays. Right. I mean, they had shown that. The fact that Barry and Brown caught that 4th and 7 go ball, because I still believe
Trey Amos.
Yes, I think that was the biggest catch because I think Ole Miss, if they would have gotten into the playoff, they would have won the Natty. I do. They were the best team I saw, and that catch was so big, and it ended up being so big in a very emotional game.
That's what she said.
Okay, there we go. You had to get one in.
Yeah, I had to get one in. Yeah,
and look, he played.
Also, what she said.
Yes, look. He also. It was an interesting Kentucky offense because Dane Key was probably the better overall receiver out of the two of them, but Barry and Brown just has that juice, man. The dude could just flat out freaking fly.
Tell me if you agree with this. I don't know what to make of him. I don't know what to make of Barry and Brown because I feel like I'm seeing a scratched surface.
Oh,
well, I mean, you don't throw the ball at Kentucky. Carter, he had in those last 5 games, he had 18 targets. He caught 16 passes for 400 yards.
Yeah, and
I mean, what are we debating here? Oh, and by the way, in one of those games, he took one to the hizzy on a kick return, broke an SEC record. You know the 5 touchdowns is a SEC record of kick returns.
It's crazy.
This is what I explain to people. I'm serious, and I'm saying this. You know who else had 5 going into his senior year of kick returns for touchdowns? Devin Hester. But he's a better receiver than Hester is. And that's the part where I bring up, look, man, you don't throw the ball. You got Levy and then Vandegrift. You got serious speed at wide receiver. Serious speed. World-class speed. Yeah. Now, do you have football speed and do you have football players? I think the kid can look, man. I'm gonna I think he's one of the top receivers in this class. There, I said it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I'm obviously we'll see what happens with a few of these other receivers. But man, I got to get your thoughts on MVP. I know you already said it.
Hold on, can we get to Bauer Sharp? MVB's last.
Well, I mean, I do have to skedaddle here in a second, but
okay, all right.
You could go watch my Bauer Sharp.
Quickly on Bauer Sharp. Go.
Well, that's your guy, man. Southeastern Louisiana.
Go watch Carter's film breakdown. How about that?
Yeah, do that because Oklahoma was actually the third team I did the most film studies on this year. So I watched a lot of this guy. Blake, it's important. He had some rough goes at it early in the season. That's fine. I mean, it was his first time playing SEC football. But he got better as the season moved on. His role drastically changed as the season moved on. And I know the LSU play, I mean, the dude had some disaster class plays. But part of that was because they were begging for just anything on offense. So I'm not too worried about that. So I'm really excited about what he can bring. And the dude can run. I mean, the dude has serious speed for a tight end. So this LSU wide receiver room and tight end room has gotten faster, which is always a good thing.
Let's get to MVP. Mike Van Buren out of Mississippi State. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so let's start with the biggest positive is that, you can run some. I like – if I have a pocket quarterback as my starter, I like my top backup to be someone who can run, right? Because if, God forbid, Garrett goes down, the guy comes in, brings in an extra element that the defense wasn't prepared for. It could be a very jarring thing for the defense. So as far as his fit with LSU, I think that's a really good thing. The second thing, Blake, is I don't recall a quarterback who ever played a tougher schedule than him. It's truly insane how unlucky he got with the absolute murderer's row of teams. I mean, the easiest SEC team he played was Arkansas, and they were decent. Tennessee on the road, Ole Miss on the road, Georgia on the road, Texas. I mean, the dude played legit the toughest defenses. I made this comment, and I still stand by it. I don't know if Drew Allar, who's been a multiple-year starter, has played as many difficult defenses as Van Buren played.
No, they played two ranked teams this year.
Right. So as a true freshman, I understand some of the interceptions were bad, but this guy played literally brutal schedule, 5'11", and with the worst set of offensive tackles in the SEC, the worst. So the environment gets a lot better, and the fact that he gets all these snaps of experience is amazing. That is so good from an LSU standpoint. And I saw enough, Blake, for me to believe he can be something. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's going to be the next great thing, but I mean, he put up some really good throws versus these teams. Now, full disclosure, some of it was game script where, the other team's ahead by a lot and, they take the foot off the gas pedal defensively. But Blake, he
didn't happen against Texas and Georgia. Those games were dogfights.
Yeah. So the fact, I mean, they were still competitive games. So, or semi-competitive games. It was one of those things where Texas was always up by 10, 15. They weren't up by 30. Same thing with Georgia. Right. So he showed me a lot in those games. He had an absolutely beautiful deep pass versus A&M that was just gorgeous. One of his bad picks was on a fourth down play where Nick Gordon just completely dominated a tackle. So I do like him. I do. I don't think Garrett. I don't think Garrett should feel that there's people are melting down over how this fits in with the Garrett doesn't have anything to worry about. I don't think so. But
no, I don't either. The only thing that he would have to worry about is if he's turning the ball over like he did against A&M and fans get restless.
Right. And Van Buren can run, Blake. He's not like Jalen Milroe, Jaden Daniels level runner. He's good though. He's got juice in the run game. So that does bring back some zone read capabilities with this offense. And that's the hardest thing. So much was made of Jackson Arnold's transfer from, Oklahoma to Auburn. Jackson Arnold is getting snaps as a year 2 guy. Garrett never really got like starter snaps until year 4. Guys develop
To
at
add
different.
to that, that their stat line is the exact same. Before Garrett was a starter, okay, he had 11 touchdowns and 7 picks. One's got 11 touchdowns and 7 picks, but if you're going to give Van Buren, he's got 5 rushing touchdowns. So, by the way, my thoughts on Van Buren, just to put it like this, I agree with you that Nuss has absolutely nothing to worry about. I'm with you. They're not going to put in MVB for a senior unless some really chaotic stuff starts happening.
Right.
And it would be absolutely chaotic if that would just start happening. Don't think that it necessarily will, but you have performances like A&M, you have performances like Alabama again, you are in trouble. So there comes a part where I'm with you, but if you can't finally show that you can limit some of these turnovers, then call it whatever you want. There will be people out there screaming, "What's going on here?" You had people out here asking about Colin Hurley when he went down. It's going to happen. And I will say this. I think Garrett, and I said this on Thursday, and I'll repeat it to you here. Garrett's got to get to work. And if he gets to work, I think he can limit some of those turnover issues. The reason his turnovers went down last couple games, BK got involved, and they just said, look, 2nd and 8, I don't give a shit. We're going to run the ball again. I really don't give a shit. We're going to get this ball to 3rd and 5 at minimum. So that's why it was able to help him. Now, he did have the bad fumble against Oklahoma. That's the biggest thing that he's got to work on. He's got to work on not turning the ball over. If he can do that, everything's fine. But the thing for me would be if you're going to continue to develop like you've been developing at quarterback, he is a fantastic succession plan. The question becomes this: what do you do with Colin Hurley? Because I'm just going to tell you this right now. Everybody says, they're going to go in here and battle it out. All right. Y'all go right on ahead and y'all think that. Y'all go right on ahead and think that. Ain't going to happen.
As in, you think Van Buren clears?
Oh, heavens yes. Heavens yes.
Heavens to Betsy. Huh? What they always say about Van Buren?
Van Buren does not come to LSU without that assurance.
Yeah. I'll also say, as far as deep ball accuracy is concerned, Garrett's got to get better at hitting some of those. Van Buren hit a couple of those.
A couple?
He hit some bombs, man.
Yeah, a lot of them.
He hit some bombs.
Ole Miss, Georgia, and Texas.
Yeah. And they were impressive. It wasn't like blown coverage guy just screaming wide the frick open.
No. Duke can spin it, brother.
Yeah,
Duke can spin it.
He's very, very interesting, and he gives you something with his legs. Now his rushing numbers look terrible
because he got sacked a lot.
And
But here's the thing: he got hit a lot, sacked a lot, and he didn't fumble.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where were some of the sacks on him. Yeah, but once again, not worst offensive tackles I thought in the SEC were at Mississippi State.
I agree.
And I'll say this until I'm blue in the face. That is the hardest schedule I've seen a true freshman quarterback play since maybe Brandon Allen at Arkansas, where his first start was on the road versus a Saban defense. But even then, Van Buren, it's just what he had to face this year was crazy, absolutely crazy. And that experience, it's rare. It's rare that you bring in such a young player with that many snaps. So a work in progress, and I could see him eventually potentially being the guy leading into 2026. So we'll see what happens.
Carter the Power Bryant.
We'll see you, man. Go Tigers.
By the way, any upsets this weekend in the playoffs?
Ooh. All right. So you do know I always say the worst time to give an extension to a coach is before a big game.
I know.
Marcus Freeman gets these
Indiana's
sweet.
not going to beat them. It's not going to happen.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
So you've been one of the biggest Indiana detractors.
Yeah, they're ass.
You think that? So
yeah, they're ass. Yes, they're ass.
You're crapping on Coach Sig.
I like Coach Sig, but here's the truth: they did not face but 2 teams above 500. They beat one of them. They beat Michigan 17-15. They got their doors blown off by Ohio State. They're not a physical football team. That O-line got patty smacked up and down the field.
100. You're right. 100 yards versus Ohio State. But you know what? In
I saw
Indiana,
them physically get dominated versus Michigan now.
in the second half of that game, yeah, with the 20-15
Oh,
game, yeah, they're getting pushed around a little bit.
Notre Dame. Look, we can clown Notre Dame all we want to. They're gonna push them dudes around now. They're gonna push them around. Here's my dark horse. You ready? I think Tennessee can go into Columbus and upset Ohio State.
I've seen a lot of smart people agree with you. Weird. Like the vibes around Ohio State are just weird. Like it just feels weird. You know, they had this, I don't even know, like Ryan Day, the press conference today felt weird. I feel like Ohio State is treating this Tennessee game as kind of like a warm-up game as they move forward in the playoffs. And I'm telling you right now, if Tennessee holds the Triple Crown Natty, if they win it all in basketball, which they could, they look really good. Do it the world will burn. Actually, if Tennessee just wins it all in football.
Okay, I want Ohio State to win now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the Vols, man. There's no. I really do mean this. Outside of LSU, where I'm seriously biased. The Tennessee fans. Would you agree? Tennessee fans.
Oh, toxic.
Dude. Well, not just I think they're great. I think they are the SEC.
Oh, they show up and show out for their team, brother. They love their Vols, man.
So what is it? I've already heard rumors of them buying out the ticket allotment, and I heard it could be an orange
broke into the Ohio State ticket office and then started buying tickets. It's nuts, man.
Dude,
they think that it could be 50-50. They really believe that it could be 50-50 based off of the ticket allotment and then ticket sales.
I mean, look, the views
of it's their stat on the internet. I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but it would not shock, dude. There's no price tag too big for Tennessee. Dude, Tennessee fans are the fans that will dip into the college fund.
They've been waiting. They've had 2 decades to hold on to it, baby. So, all right, Carter the Power Bryant. We'll see you soon, buddy.
See you, bud. Cheers.
All right, that's Carter the Power Bryant. We're gonna be out there with him. We'll see y'all soon. You have a good night. Peace.